Is there really such a thing as pure friendship between men and women? If Hibiki were asked this question, her answer would definitely be yes. She has a male best friend named Natsume. Although anyone who sees them together would ask, "Why aren't you two married yet?" Both of them insist they are just friends. Natsume first met Hibiki at a cultural festival in their second year of junior high. He had bet with his parents that he could sell 100 everlasting flower ornaments, but only sold 5 on the first day. Unexpectedly, when he returned to the science club room, he saw a strange girl who approached him very familiarly, telling him that a group of girls had just looked at the products, and she had helped sell 27 pieces. Natsume was shocked, but very grateful to Hibiki. However, he wasn't good at dealing with such a beautiful girl. Hibiki kept asking why he had to sell 100 pieces. Natsume confessed that he dreamed of opening a flower ornament shop, but his parents wanted him to be a civil servant. After a big argument, they said if he could sell 100 ornaments at the school festival, he could follow his dream. Hibiki laughed out loud when she heard this and called Natsume an idiot. She said it's natural for parents to oppose such risky life plans. However, she admired Natsume and decided to help him sell all the flowers herself. The next day, Natsume indeed sold out all the prepared ornaments. 2 years later, he turned it into a side business at the family convenience store, selling ornaments online that had been promoted. After school, he would hide in the clubroom to work on new ornaments. At that time, Hibiki would often suddenly appear, sit on Natsume's lap, and act spoiled. Their way of interacting didn't seem like just friends at all. Natsume let Hibiki stick to him, because they had become best friends since that cultural festival. It was also Hibiki who encouraged Natsume to open the shop directly. She had noticed him long ago, knew he took care of the flower beds in the backyard every day, named each flower, and liked one of the ornaments he made. Her only request in return was that ornament, for which she even used her once-in-a-lifetime request to her brother. So, Natsume had to take responsibility, because what Hibiki loved most was the look in his eyes when he made the ornaments, focused and beautiful. She wanted to monopolize that passionate gaze. As long as Natsume could do that, she would help him sell as many ornaments as needed. Thus, they became a team bound by fate, best friends for each other. Natsume had no reason to refuse, especially since the ornament Hibiki liked was made from goosefoot, symbolizing friendship, cooperation, and inseparability. Although they claimed to be just best friends, Hibiki liked to joke around. She often said that if Natsume hadn't opened his shop by the age of 30, she would take responsibility and marry him. Hibiki's brother even called Natsume brother-in-law all the time. Fortunately, Natsume was indifferent to these teases because he had a first love from a school trip in elementary school. Hibiki always mocked that it might be his delusion and told him to face reality and find a girlfriend. Natsume couldn't help but retort that with Hibiki's clinginess, which girl would dare approach him? Moreover, Hibiki's ex-boyfriends liked to spread rumors about them. Of course, it was all Hibiki's fault since she always talked about Natsume in front of her boyfriends. However, Hibiki quickly changed the topic, saying she was just playing with those ex-boyfriends. Her family, being a prestigious clan, would have her go to arranged meetings with potential matches, likely some greasy old men. Hibiki even teasingly told Natsume that her young body would be touched by those old men, making Natsume feel a bit sorry for her. He said he would secretly protect her when the time came. Hibiki couldn't hold back her laughter and asked if Natsume had read too many novels, questioning who still goes to arranged meetings nowadays. Today, Natsume received another order and became lost in thought as he looked at the shipping address. Actually, the things Hibiki said during the day weren't made up on the spot. They really had an agreement. If Natsume was still single by the time he turned 30, he would simply marry Hibiki. That way, he wouldn't have to worry about being alone and could concentrate fully on opening his ornament shop. After reminiscing, Natsume took the order to the convenience store and asked his sister to help mail it. Meanwhile, Hibiki was continuously promoting his business. Although people always asked her if she was dating Natsume, she consistently denied it, firmly stating that they were just best friends. Her desire to support Natsume's dream stemmed from this friendship, and she only hoped that Natsume's future girlfriend wouldn't mind their relationship. One day, while buying a drink, Natsume encountered a beautiful girl and decided to gather inspiration for new ornaments from her. He accidentally stared at her and suddenly noticed she was wearing one of his ornaments, a style sold at the cultural festival 2 years ago. Just then, the bracelet broke. The girl saw it was damaged and couldn't help crying. Natsume instinctively stepped forward to tell her it could be fixed, but she looked wary. Being socially anxious, Natsume turned and ran away, and the matter was left unresolved. Later, Natsume told Hibiki about the incident. True to form, Hibiki was very curious. They both forgot it was class time, and Natsume ended up getting scolded by the teacher. After school, their science club classroom welcomed a visitor, Shinji, Natsume's good friend and Hibiki's ex-boyfriend. The two often bickered and treated each other as embarrassing parts of their pasts. Shinji had once dated multiple girls at once, causing Hibiki to face retaliation from his girlfriends. Shinji also criticized Hibiki for accepting confessions out of curiosity, even though she didn't like him, calling it self-inflicted. Naturally, Natsume took Hibiki's side and asked Shinji what he wanted today. Unexpectedly, Shinji asked if Natsume had tried to chat up a girl at the vending machine yesterday, then called that girl over. It turned out Hibiki knew her too. Rin, Shinji's childhood friend, had played with Hibiki a few times as a child, because Rin's sister and Hibiki's brother were classmates. Hibiki then remembered that Rin's sister, a model reader, had helped promote and sell the ornaments the day after the cultural festival. It was very likely the bracelet had come from her sister. Since it was someone he knew and his own creation, Natsume naturally wanted to fix it for her. However, Rin, who seemed aloof but was actually quite clumsy, was the only one who could handle Hibiki. She grabbed Hibiki and began to express her grievances from over the years, complaining that Hibiki had stolen her favorite keychains and toys. Hibiki struggled, and in the midst of her struggle, she began to play mischievously with a plush toy, only to be furiously shaken by an irate Rin. Eventually, Hibiki was left with a sign hanging around her neck, showing a clear handprint on her face. Meanwhile, Natsume focused on repairing the bracelet. Once he entered his work mode, he became oblivious to everything around him. When he finished fixing the ornament, he discovered that the girls had braided his hair. Rin was finally amused and smiled, thanking Natsume as she looked at the restored bracelet. After parting, she asked Hibiki about the boy. At that moment, Hibiki was still proud, believing that no one else could understand the look in Natsume's eyes when he made ornaments. She was reluctant to talk more with Rin. However, Rin's next words left her speechless. Rin always believed that moving creations came from gentle people. She loved the bracelet so much she naturally wanted to know who made it. Although she had never seen him, she felt he was nearby because there were always items he made in Hibiki's photos. Now, having met him, Rin was sure that the person in the videos was Natsume. Hibiki was taken aback, realizing that her belief that only she truly understood Natsume might have just been a self-satisfying illusion. Natsume has recently hit a creative block because he only has Hibiki as a model, making his jewelry designs monotonous lately. His sister, upon hearing that he helped another girl with her accessories, saw it as an opportunity and reminded Natsume not to forget their agreement. If he hasn't started his own business by age 30, he must return home to take over the family business. Meanwhile, Shinji grilled his childhood friend Rin about what happened in the science lab yesterday, offering his help as a self-proclaimed love expert. Just then, Hibiki showed up, and she immediately clashed with Shinji. But when two younger girls sought Shinji's attention, he couldn't resist leaving with them. With Shinji gone, Hibiki quickly pulled Rin aside, suggesting a great idea before rushing to find Natsume. She jumped on his back, asking if he was daydreaming during class. Natsume confessed he wanted to change the theme of his next jewelry collection to passionate love and intense despair of heartbreak. He shared his sister's words with Hibiki, who strongly agreed, noting that since his jewelry mainly appealed to girls, a romance theme would be perfect. The two, inexperienced in love, then debated what love really is. Hibiki thought it involved wanting to kiss or sleep with someone, and casually asked Natsume about his experience and if he wanted to kiss Rin. Natsume failed to see the relevance to Rin, to which Hibiki claimed she was just trying to help him imagine it better, and wondered if he wanted to test their compatibility. Unfortunately, Natsume had no such desires towards girls. Surprisingly, Hibiki suggested they try kissing, since they didn't understand the desire anyway, proposing that a kiss might make it clear. Natsume found Hibiki's logic sound, but questioned if best friends could kiss for such a reason. Before he could respond, Hibiki held his hand, claimed she would only hold hands with him, then pointed to her lips, asking if he wanted to kiss. Caught up in the moment, and worried about being mocked if he went through with it, Natsume watched as Hibiki, serious and not joking, pulled his tie and leaned in. Unable to resist or wanting to, he closed his eyes as Hibiki's lips approached, only to find out she was teasing him. Natsume was deeply hurt, but Hibiki seemed oblivious and asked him to keep Saturday free for her. On that Saturday, Hibiki's brother came to pick up Natsume. Natsume learned that his sister and Hibiki's brother were classmates in high school, and his sister was quite influential during her school days. Reflecting on the differences between him and his sister, he felt inadequate. Hibiki's brother comforted him, praising his talent in jewelry making and inviting him to find inspiration at their home, treating Natsume almost like a future brother-in-law. After Natsume was dropped off at home by his brother, Hibiki immediately started nitpicking him, claiming he had no sense of fashion. but she let it go since the focus today was on her close friend Rin. The three of them found a cafe to hang out in. Rin still looked unapproachable, making Natsume too shy to talk much. It was up to Hibiki to liven up the mood. She asked Natsume if he had any ideas for the next jewelry photo shoot. Before he could even start thinking, Hibiki suggested adding something new, like Rin. Rin had agreed to model Natsume's jewelry as a way to thank him for fixing her bracelet. Natsume had no reason to refuse. Changing models could indeed spark new inspiration. They even decided to set the photo shoot at Rin's family's Western-style dessert shop. After that was settled, Natsume went off to buy supplies, feeling more energetic than usual. Reminded by Hibiki, he realized he had another model, Rin. So, they began helping Rin choose jewelry to see which colors suited her best. Their playful banter soon had Rin laughing. Hibiki then tied Rin's hair up and asked Natsume to help her with a necklace. Natsume told himself not to be shy since she probably didn't even see him as a guy. He tried to stay calm while helping Rin with the necklace, their cheeks almost touching. If Rin turned her head, they could easily kiss. After the necklace was on, Hibiki teasingly pointed out that Rin's casual outfit was quite revealing, which embarrassed and angered Rin. After buying the parts, they visited a florist to pick flowers. Hibiki was drawn to the wisteria there, and Natsume was impressed by the stunning arrangement of flowers. Hibiki remarked it reminded her of old times, but was reluctant to elaborate when Natsume asked. He didn't press further and continued choosing flowers that matched Rin. Seeing that they were getting along, Hibiki excused herself to buy drinks, leaving them alone. She felt she must support Natsume's potential romance. Left alone in the flower shop, Natsume tried to find topics to discuss, asking if Rin and Hibiki had been friends since elementary school and bringing up childhood stories. It turned out Hibiki was very different as a child, a quiet girl who would just sit in her room reading picture books. When Rin delivered pastries to her house, Hibiki's mom encouraged them to be friends. Natsume then asked Rin about her favorite flowers. She liked bigger ones with a romantic feel. Natsume thought tulips were a good choice, as their blooming could create varying impressions. As they talked about flowers, Natsume became quite animated. He had no interest in sports like other boys, only in flowers and jewelry. Rin was curious why he loved flowers so much. Natsume shared a childhood memory of getting lost in a botanical garden with a little girl who was also lost. He spent his pocket money to buy her a flower, which she said she would keep as a souvenir and wear in her hair every day. He knew fresh flowers would eventually wilt, which led him to become interested in floristry to make flowers last longer. He hoped to one day give his floral jewelry to that girl. Sharing this story made Natsume feel somewhat embarrassed, but Rin suddenly asked if the flower the girl wore was a large red hibiscus, matching her hair color. It turned out Rin was that little girl. She'd always disliked her hair color until that day. Blushing, Rin told Natsume that his flower did indeed reach that girl. The girl he'd been longing for had been right in front of him all along. However, Hibiki didn't return for a long time, so Natsume and Rin exchanged contact information. Hibiki went straight home because she already knew that Rin was the girl from Natsume's memories. Rin had told her the night before that when her sister brought the bracelet back 2 years ago, she immediately remembered the boy's face. Hibiki had heard Natsume recount that story many times, and believed it was fate, which is why she wanted to support their romance. But now, she realized that the two of them didn't need any help at all. Her two favorite friends were on the path to a happy future. She should feel happy for them, yet why did she feel so upset inside? Since finding out that his childhood crush was Rin, Natsume has been restless for the past few days, sleeping poorly. Moreover, Hibiki hasn't been responding to his messages. Now at school, he encounters her pretending nothing happened, and she even refuses to let him get close. Just then, Rin comes over to greet Natsume, and Hibiki uses the opportunity to slip away. But Rin quickly catches her. Rin hands them each a small cookie she made herself, shyly giving Natsume his portion, clearly showing interest in him. So, when Natsume and Hibiki are alone, Hibiki teases him non-stop. She thought they had become a couple that very day and accidentally lets it slip. Natsume, in a swift move, pins her against the railing, realizing why Hibiki has been acting so strangely. This sudden closeness makes Hibiki's face turn red. Natsume assures her that there's nothing between him and Rin, so she should stop picking on him. Relieved, Hibiki brushes it off and leaves. After school, the three stay behind to make new jewelry. It's Rin's first time handling such crafts, so Natsume explains the process to her, while Hibiki playfully disrupts his work. He asks Rin to help keep the troublemaker in check. Hibiki reluctantly behaves, recalling how Natsume used to respond to her flirtations when they were alone. With Rin present, Natsume quickly tells her not to talk nonsense. Hibiki, pushing boundaries, suggests playing a kissing game like they did before, which annoys Natsume. However, with Rin still around, he ends up arguing with Hibiki. It seems more like flirtation than a real argument, so Rin quietly leaves, not wanting to be a third wheel anymore. Hibiki rolls on the floor laughing, pulling Natsume down with her when he approaches, creating an intimate atmosphere. Hibiki asks if Natsume wants to kiss, suggesting they might as well make it real since Rin probably thinks they already did. Hibiki's teasing words disturb Natsume, and she closes her eyes as if waiting for a kiss. Natsume feels conflicted and nervous. They were just close friends. So how had things escalated this quickly? And Hibiki looks too cute. He leans in to kiss her but suddenly hears a noise. Turning around, he sees Hibiki holding her phone, having taken a photo. Natsume snatches the phone, only to see a funny picture of himself puckering up. The romantic mood vanishes, and although Hibiki seems a bit disappointed, she quickly leaves without further ado. Natsume is increasingly confused about what Hibiki is thinking. Luckily, he has a friend, a bit of a playboy, who asks how things are progressing with Rin. Learning that Natsume hasn't made any moves, his friend mocks him. But what can he do? His childhood friend likes such a hopeless guy. Natsume tells Shinji not to provoke Rin, and mentions that Hibiki has been acting odd, almost too close lately. Shinji, experienced in such matters, gives a knowing smile. During this time, Natsume grows closer to Rin, who has become his new model. He seeks inspiration from her, while Hibiki, as usual, tries to divert Natsume's attention from Rin to herself. In fact, Natsume finds no inspiration with Rin. All his ideas for jewelry lean towards Hibiki's style. What exactly is Rin's style? How does she differ from Hibiki? Then, noticing Rin's bracelet, Natsume is struck with inspiration to photograph her like a moonlit beauty. Hibiki steps in to assist, telling Rin something that perfectly captures the mood Natsume wants. But the next second, Hibiki tells Rin it was all a joke, causing her to burst out in anger. Yet when she turns back to Natsume, she resumes her gentle demeanor. On the way home with Hibiki, Natsume was still muttering about ideas for jewelry, making Hibiki feel a bit jealous. She asked Natsume to make her a piece of romantic jewelry, hinting that she might fall in love someday too. After saying this, she looked up at Natsume, and in that moment, he suddenly wanted to capture her image and even wished he could keep her to himself. However, he knew these weren't feelings one should have towards just a friend, and since they were only friends, he firmly declined her request. Hibiki said it was okay, but once home, she became depressed, feeling as if Natsume had rejected her. She had initially meant it as a joke, expecting Natsume to respond as usual that it wouldn't suit her, but his serious refusal made it clear he didn't want to cross that line, while she had stopped seeing him as just a friend long ago. Recently, she had seen him in love, and couldn't help but wish to be the focus of such looks. However, their built friendship was now a barrier. Advancing further meant risking that friendship, so she couldn't afford a misstep or lose more, and had to continue being just his friend. Days later, Natsume's new piece of jewelry was finally completed. They held a celebration dinner, and during the meal, Natsume presented the piece, a hair clip made during the peak bloom of tulips, which looked beautiful. He was about to give it to Rin when Hibiki slapped it away, acting overly dramatic. She claimed she got too excited, and then started filming the piece, suggesting a slogan for its promotion, linking it to significant others' fates, perfectly fitting for Natsume and Rin. Natsume tried to correct her misunderstanding, but Shinji, seeing through everything, stirred things up by suggesting Natsume help Rin put it on. Rin's expectant look made it impossible for Natsume to refuse. He felt his heart race as he arranged her hair and placed the clip. Shinji and Hibiki could barely watch. Then Shinji suggested making Rin Natsume's exclusive model since the jewelry turned out so well, indicating they were a perfect match. Rin was eager to agree, and Natsume found no reason to refuse. Hibiki couldn't hold back any longer, slammed the table to interrupt them, but then quickly tried to rationalize her reaction, arguing it wasn't good for Rin, fearing cyberbullying if she became a focus online. Shinji stood up to counter her arguments, directly asking if she felt threatened. As they seemed about to argue again, Natsume tried to mediate, but ended up being scolded by both. Hibiki continued to find reasons to reject the proposal, but Shinji countered each one. Ultimately, it was up to Natsume, and he didn't want to miss out on such an excellent model, especially since Hibiki had initially suggested changing models to bring new excitement. Hibiki was left speechless, realizing she had shot herself in the foot. Moreover, Natsume brought up that Hibiki had been too close lately, making him uncomfortable. He was actually worried that if such situations kept happening, he might develop feelings for his close friend. This time, he decided to stand by Rin, leaving Hibiki without a standpoint. Trying to calm herself, she failed, ended up throwing a cup of water over Natsume's head, and then angrily declared she wanted to end their friendship. I've never seen such a rebellious protagonist. She says she just wants to be good friends with Natsume, but when Natsume actually starts getting along well with his childhood crush, she loses her temper in public and wants to break off their friendship. Now, they're in a situation where neither speaks to the other. However, Hibiki is actually quite pleased with herself, thinking that even though she said she wanted to break up, Natsume still can't help but think about her, possibly even liking her. Natsume is very aware of Hibiki's narcissistic feelings, but he admits she is indeed cute. He tries to lure Hibiki with snacks, but she still ignores him. So, Natsume pulls out all the stops. Thinking their friendship formed from starting a business together was over, Hibiki then dramatically starts to pretend to cry on the table. The other students start pointing fingers at Natsume. At that moment, Natsume receives a forwarded email from Hibiki announcing she's joined an agency and will be transferring to a school in Tokyo at the end of May. Natsume is completely panicked and confronts Hibiki directly, but she runs off without saying a word and even manages to send a message to Rin, telling her she's moving to Tokyo and wishing her and Natsume happiness. This makes Rin feel guilty, thinking she upset Hibiki by being Natsume's model. But Natsume reassures her it's not her fault. The priority is to get a clear answer from Hibiki. They use yogurt and cookies to bait her out, and it actually works. Natsume directly points out that Hibiki is just trying to make her presence felt. They start a game of cat and mouse, leaving Rin behind. Natsume asks if Hibiki hates Rin being the model, but Hibiki slaps him, saying it has nothing to do with Rin, it's his attitude that infuriates her. Natsume feels wronged. He hasn't done anything yet, was inexplicably splashed with juice, scorned by the whole class, and now slapped without reason. Could it be that he's just a fun toy for Hibiki? He grabs Hibiki's shoulder to get a clear answer, but during their argument, he accidentally breaks her necklace. Hibiki can no longer keep up her act, picks up the trampled pendant, and finally shows some genuine emotion. Natsume is also angry, feeling like he's just seen as a compliant accessory, a tool. Hibiki's tears burst forth, saying he also just sees her as convenient support. Otherwise, why would he choose Rin as his exclusive model? Hibiki tearfully questions why the privilege of wearing new pieces was given to someone else. Wasn't it promised to be hers alone? Because Natsume likes Rin, he wanted her to wear them first. After saying this, Hibiki tears off the necklace, throws it at Natsume, and leaves saying, "I will never willingly be your second choice." In this situation, Natsume's good friend stays by his side. Natsume asks Shinji why he suddenly proposed Rin as the model. Shinji just wanted to help his childhood friend get ahead. As they say, the onlooker sees more of the game. Shinji clearly sees Hibiki's little schemes. Although she and Natsume claim to be just close friends, a close friend's possessiveness wouldn't reach this extent. Moreover, Natsume has recently become aware of Hibiki as a woman. Rin is just his shield to ease the guilt of his feelings for Hibiki. But now, they should forget about love or friendship. Natsume needs to decide who is more important to him. Letting Rin be the exclusive model was Shinji's way of separating Natsume and Hibiki. Now Hibiki is making a scene about moving to Tokyo, almost declaring she can't forget Natsume without leaving her hometown. If she really leaves, Rin will likely feel guilty too. Shinji doesn't want his childhood friend to suffer this pain. Once Natsume figures things out, Shinji withdraws, keeping a low profile. At night, Natsume messages Hibiki to confirm if she really is going to Tokyo. Hibiki affirms, claiming she wants to let her value shine. Natsume naturally feels reluctant. He had been making jewelry alone, and it was Hibiki who brought life to his creations and spread them to the outside world. That's why he agreed to always make jewelry for Hibiki. But now he's breaking that promise. He tries to keep Hibiki from leaving and even says he will kneel and apologize, but he knows Hibiki is stubborn. It seems he's really about to lose this close friend. If so, he must rely on himself to realize his dreams. I never imagined that Hibiki had no plans to go to Tokyo at all. It was all just to provoke Natsume. Although she claimed she was only pretending to cry, the thought of her broken necklace brought real tears to her eyes. Frustrated, she took her anger out on a stuffed toy, determined to make Natsume create a new one for her and allow her to do whatever she wanted with him, hoping to put him to work. She was waiting for Natsume to kneel and apologize. However, the next day Natsume showed no reaction and even ignored Hibiki completely. By the weekend, Hibiki still hadn't received any message from Natsume and had pretty much given up. While browsing social media, she saw a photo posted by Rin that inadvertently showed another hand, which was clearly Natsume's. This completely shattered Hibiki. It seemed there really was no place for her anymore, and the shop even started selling romance-themed jewelry. Hibiki forced herself to accept the reality and acted as if nothing was wrong. Unexpectedly, her brother also heard about her conflict with Natsume. Hibiki admitted to having a fallout with Natsume, and even threatened to move to Tokyo for school. Her brother was furious and reminded her of their agreement made during the middle school cultural festival, where Hibiki had begged her brother for help and owed him a favor. Her brother had contacted Rin's sister to help sell 200 pieces of jewelry, enduring much humiliation. Despite this, he had gone through with it because of their sibling pact, that if Hibiki was to support Natsume's shop, She must support it to the end. Now, to hear they had fallen out was shocking. Hibiki finally confessed her feelings for Natsume but was lectured by her brother that one cannot have everything they desire. Though she didn't fully understand, Hibiki decided to make peace with Natsume. They arranged to meet in the science classroom after school, but Hibiki struggled to speak. Natsume then took out what he had prepared for her, but mistakenly pulled out a withdrawal application. It turned out he had planned to go to Tokyo with Hibiki. Shinji's words had made him realize that Hibiki was indeed the most important person to him. Even creating the best floral arrangements meant nothing without Hibiki by his side, and he believed she felt the same. Images of their time together flooded Hibiki's mind, and she snatched Natsume's withdrawal application, tucking it into her pocket, declaring she no longer planned to go to Tokyo. Natsume, eager to understand, moved closer, creating a moment so intimate that Hibiki almost kissed him. However, she was not yet ready to reveal her feelings and preferred to keep things as they were, even if Rin remained the model. She just hoped that Natsume would prioritize her. Natsume naturally agreed. The gift he intended for Hibiki was a miniature model of a laddie slipper orchid made from preserved flowers, also serving as a friendship ring unique in the world just for Hibiki. The two finally reconciled, and Hibiki jumped onto Natsume's back as she used to, asking him to put the ring on for her. Who else gives rings to just a friend? Hibiki once again brought up their pact that if they were still single at 30, they must be together. For now, they decided to keep their feet in within the ring. Unbeknownst to Hibiki, Natsume also harbored similar thoughts and had hidden a seed of a purple tulip inside the ring. Yet he dared not tell Hibiki the meaning of the purple tulip. Let's see what the crazy couple is up to again. From a young age, Natsume has been drawn to beautiful things, especially all kinds of flowers. His dream is to open a store where he can create using his own flowers. By a twist of fate, he became close friends with Hibiki, which completely changed his life. He could no longer enjoy his solitude, because Hibiki would pester him every day after class. Even if other students mocked him, it didn't matter. She would just pull Natsume along and even ask if he was avoiding her. Natsume didn't want to answer, so she would tickle him to force a response, showing no sense of personal space. In reality, Natsume was ridiculed by boys who liked Hibiki. He didn't want Hibiki to be looked down on because of him. Indeed, Hibiki had no interest in those boys, some of whom even had girlfriends yet flirted with her, causing her to be mistaken for the other woman. Ultimately, who Hibiki befriends is her choice. She prefers purity over beauty, especially the pure look in Natsume's eyes when he makes jewelry. That's why she wished for them to remain close friends forever, not wanting love to taint their purity. Natsume agreed immediately, and Hibiki recorded it. They were playing around in the classroom, and although they just agreed to stay friends, Hibiki had already started flirting with Natsume. They walked back to the classroom holding hands. 2 years later, Natsume's feelings are complicated. He hadn't expected to fall for Hibiki unknowingly. Luckily, Hibiki decided not to go to Tokyo. Unfortunately, he chickened out at the crucial moment and missed the best opportunity to confess. They ain't best friends, but he had smartened up. When greeting Hibiki, he would show a perfect smile, revealing all 8 teeth, which unnerved Hibiki. She wondered what had gotten into her good friend. That day, the ring Natsume gave Hibiki ended up on a neckband he had given her years ago. Seeing it up close, Natsume's heart raced even more, almost blurting out, "You're so cute," but managed to hold back. However, Hibiki continued to flirt, and the current Natsume couldn't resist it anymore. He flirted back, seriously grabbing Hibiki's shoulders and telling her she was the only one for him, and if she was willing, they should really start dating. After saying this, he waited for her to look conflicted, then jokingly said he was just kidding. Unfortunately, Hibiki wasn't fooled and remained very calm, although she rushed to the restroom to splash cold water on her face to cool down and hide her blush, because for a moment, she had taken him seriously. But now, she had to consider the possibility of ending her friendship with Rin. Meanwhile, Natsume was sent to the office by a teacher because he had submitted a blank paper during the midterm exams. He had been busy creating new jewelry and accidentally fell asleep during the exam. Luckily, there was a chance to retake the exam this weekend. If he passed, there would be no major issues. Hibiki immediately offered to help after school. Then she told Natsume that she had accidentally exposed his photo. Natsume was unconcerned, but Hibiki panicked, afraid that her best friend would become popular. If someone like Rin came along, Natsume might just be swayed to change models. Natsume reassured her that she was his only choice for a model. Hibiki almost couldn't hold back from confessing on the spot and had to slap Natsume to contain herself. Unfortunately, Rin witnessed this scene and overheard their entire conversation. With a grim face, Rin said goodbye. The two were still blaming each other, treating Rin as if she was just part of their play. Now, both harbored their own schemes, each wanting to advance their relationship further. Hibiki confronted Shinji, demanding to know why he had deliberately exposed Natsume's identity. Shinji honestly admitted it was all for Rin. Unyielding, Hibiki declared that even if it meant ending her friendship with Rin, she wouldn't give up on Natsume and wouldn't let Shinji's plan proceed smoothly. However, Shinji didn't even consider her a threat. After school, Natsume went to Hibiki's house for tutoring. The last time he visited when they had just started high school. This time, Hibiki's parents and grandfather were not at home, and her brother was busy with work. so it was just the two of them. However, Hibiki's brother, a top student, heard that Natsume was coming over for tutoring and sent him summarized key points from past reference books. Realizing he would be alone with Hibiki, Natsume was thrilled. But then, Hibiki's brother, Hibari, surprised him with a burst of confetti. Clearly, he couldn't outplay this close friend. Hibari agreed with Hibiki that one day Natsume's creations would make their city famous worldwide. To support this, he wanted to help Natsume overcome all obstacles, including his studies. Hibari planned to cram 3 years of high school knowledge into Natsume all at once. Facing his enthusiastic brother, Hibiki quietly left the room, leaving Natsume to endure the grueling training alone. Natsume studied until late into the night before joining Hibiki for a bath. Hibiki had changed into a yukata, revealing her enticing, pale nape. Natsume thought it was the perfect spot for his jewelry. Noticing his gaze, Hibiki playfully opened her garment, suggesting if he wanted to look, he should do so openly, and then ushered him into the bathroom. Impressed by the grandeur of the bathroom, which was as large as a public bathhouse, Natsume wondered which towel Hibiki had used. Suddenly, Hibiki burst in, causing Natsume to quickly cover himself, while she laughed hysterically. Hibiki had specifically come to help him bathe, as they were close friends after all. Not wanting to be led around forever, Natsume boldly told her to come in. Hibiki, initially shy, but still determined, closed the door and changed her clothes. Natsume sat on the stool, full of anticipation. Soon Hibiki returned and told him to close his eyes. Natsume felt a touch on his back, but something felt off. Opening his eyes, he was shocked to find his uncle behind him, while Hibiki laughed outside. The uncle asked if their play was always this intense. Natsume quickly clarified that they were just close friends and nothing inappropriate happened. Hibari didn't mind, as long as he saw Natsume and Hibiki getting along. He was reassured. He mentioned that the child was spoiled, and it was rare to see her apologize. Confused, Natsume wondered, apologize? They had made up, but Hibiki hadn't done anything wrong. The apology should come from him. Suddenly, Hibari's demeanor changed, and he approached with an intense pressure, demanding Natsume explain in detail. Meanwhile, Hibiki, unaware of what had transpired, was still reveling in the thrill of their recent flirtatious exchange. Suddenly, she heard a knock, thinking it was Natsume, and quickly composed herself. Unfortunately, it was her stern-faced brother at the door. The next day, Hibari drove Natsume to school, giving him study tips along the way. Meanwhile, Hibiki, pressured by her brother, cried all the way to the car, only calming down after getting out. Then, at the school entrance, she encountered the scowling Rin. Seeing them get out of the same car, with Natsume mentioning he had stayed over at Hibiki's house, Rin exploded in jealousy, exclaiming, "I want to stay over too."